Ons gaan sien wat môre gebeur, ja.
Robbie Smith with me in the Firestone Firehawk car. 5 times winner of this race before. Robbie, you guys must be one of the favourite teams for this race. How are you going to play it?
Look, I think very close to the game. We're going to pace ourselves well this year. I think although I've won it 5 times, we got a bit carried away last year. And I think the whole thing is to keep yourself under control and pace yourself well, which is exactly what we're going to do from the start.
Your biggest opposition this year should be Ben Morgan.
Yeah, Ben's always a threat. He's an unknown as well because we've been watching him go around. He hasn't given any secrets away. I see he's working frantically on his brake pads, and we suspect that he's going to have brake problems, but he's not 100% sure. But I think tyre-wise, he's probably going to be on a par with us. And the times are very similar for the grid, so we're going to have a ding-dong again, I'm sure.
But Alchan, you're already Class D champion, leading the overall production car championship by 11 points. This is a very important race for you.
Yeah, well, we've got to win the race to win the production car championship, but he's looking good at the moment. The cars are reliable as always. AMG has prepared the cars, so we basically can't go wrong. The last hours will be critical, but I think we should win it.
You've had an incredible season, 22 out of 24.
Well, like I said, the preparation's been so good. It's been very easy as well. The guys behind me haven't been that quick, so we haven't had a bad season in that way.
Kurt, looking at the strategy for the 9 hours lying ahead, how many pit stops, how many brake pad changes, things like that?
At this stage, we're planning on 4 pit stops. We're going to have to stop for petrol 4 times. Hopefully 1 brake stop, maybe 2, and that's about it.
Now, if anything should go wrong with the car that you are starting in?
I've got another 2 cars to climb into. I can climb into the car that Lawrence Boshoff and Dave Kopke are driving, which is also a Class D car, or I can climb into the Class C car of Grant Wenzel and Peter Goff.
Julle het voorste wegspringposisie in jou klas. Gaan dit 'n faktor wees, dink jy?
Ek dink dit gaan nie 'n groot verskil maak waar jy gekwalifiseer het nie. Ek dink na omtrent 6-7 ure waar jy dan lê, dis wat die verskil gaan maak. En ons span is gemotiveerd om hierdie 9 uur algeheel te wen en ek seker ons gaan doen.
Sê my, hoe lank kan die motor gaan met 1 tank petrol en hoe gaan julle stopstrategie wees vir alles as mens dan dink dat daar met remme omgery word?
Ons motors kan die langste uitbly op 'n tank vol petrol. Ons bly omtrent 2,5 ure uit. Waar teen die ander karre ek dink uur en 40 uitbly. So ons gaan net 1 keer die pads omruil en die agterbande gaan ook dwarsteer. So ons gaan 3 stops maak en wat teen die Nissans byvoorbeeld 4 stops gemaak. So ons kan 'n bietjie stadiger as hulle hardloop en nog steeds inwees met 'n kans aan die einde.
In the BP Nissan pits, we have Australian Terry Lewis, ex-production car champion, and the 3rd time that you're here. Terry, welcome. How's things going so far?
Good, thank you. I'm driving again with Nick Duval this year, as I did last year. I'm quite happy to drive with Nick. He's one of your touring car drivers. I can only ask for the best, and I've got one of the better drivers. I'm enjoying myself good.
Last year you had a big advantage with the special brake pads that you brought out. This year, not really, is it?
We still have the same sort of advantage. It's only 1 brake change that we have to have this year. It's interesting enough to think that a person from Australia can change your rules, and that's quite amusing to me. And I think that we still will have a fairly great advantage, especially over the Astras.
But now you can obviously choose when to change your brakes, because the brakes can theoretically last the whole race. How are you going to play that decision?
I think I'll leave that decision up to Ockie and Glenn Hall. What we may do is we can go anyway. We can put him in at the start of the race and do 1 car first, and then get that car out of the way, and then see how the other 2 cars go towards the end of the race.
Class B poleman Sean Watson-Smith, one of the sensations, in fact, of the touring car season this year in his 1 single race. But this time now, in a 9-hour. Sean, how do you feel about the race? How are you planning to take it?
Well, I'm happy to be on pole because I'm hoping to just go out and make a break for it and go like hell. Because I think we have to make an extra pit stop to them, so I've got to make up 3 minutes, around 3 minutes somewhere during the 9 hours, which is not going to be easy. So it means we have to lap faster than them, so I'm going to be pushing really hard from the start.
The Opel seem to have a problem with fuel consumption and tyres.
I don't think it's much of a fuel consumption problem. or a tyre problem. It's just that we don't have these special secret pads that the Nissans do, which can last for 9 hours. So we're going to be changing pads twice. The fuel is not really a problem, and the tyres are not a problem. It's just the brakes.
So how many times do you expect to stop?
We're expecting to stop twice. We know that in testing it's very close. If I push hard, it's close to make it to 3 hours. But we should make it, but that means that we still have to stop at least twice.
Motors op die opwarmingsronde vir die Stannic 9 uur uithouwedren in Kaapstad, Killarney renbaan, pragtige sonnige dag, en hulle is op hulle parade ronde nou met die voorbokmotor wat hulle omlei. Dit gaan 'n bewegende wegspring wees, en dan gaan ons 9 uur se aksie sien, hier waar die Suid-Afrikaanse Stannic produksiemotor kampioenskapstitel vandag beslis gaan word, tussen Charles Wilken in sy klas C Castrol Toyota Conquest, en Kurt Elchin in sy AMG Honda in klas D. By my in die kommentaar ook vandag vir die volle wedren, Basil Koetser.
Thank you, Hendrik. Yes, an exciting one. As you said, the 12th 9-hour at Killarney, and a great one it's going to be. 42 cars on the grid, and I think we're going to see a great fight right throughout. This is not a sprint race. This race is going to be decided on the tactics that have already been pre-planned, and hopefully during the course of the race the cars will stand up to all the problems and all the taxing 9 hours of racing, and I think we're going to see a great one. And yeah, they come. Off they go. See Ben Morgan, the man who was in pole position, leading off from Robbie Smith. It's not a sprint race, and we're going to see them just settle themselves down. Some of them will be going out a little bit faster than others. There'll be a lot of different tactics organized, some big teams out there. Listen, have 3 cars, and they will be out just to see whether they're going to run fast with all their cars or have one hair and 2 of the others just running at a steady pace. But the tactics have all been worked out, and this is going to be a race won more on the car's endurance, its ability to run for 9 hours under trying conditions. Very hot here at Killarney this afternoon, and we're going to see some exciting racing and tactics, and will develop as the race progresses, Hendrik.
Basil, wat jy gaan sien is dat die motors nie gaan stoei vir posisies soos wat ons gewoond is daar in die gewone Stannic groep 1 wedren natuurlik nie, want hier is 9 ure wat voor lê, en hulle wil graag die motors natuurlik, elkeen van hulle wil graag hierdie wedren klaarmaak, en hulle gaan probeer om hierdie motors in 1 stuk, veral om die eerste ronde te kry, want dan is die motor nog baie naby aan mekaar, en hulle gaan probeer om uit mekaar se pad uit te bly. Dis Ben Morgenrood en Paulo en Robbie Smith wat daar die voortou geneem het. Hulle was die eerste 2 motors op die wegspringrooster gewees. Daar is slegs 3 klas A motors in aksie vandag. Ben Morgenrood en sy Sasol Mazda MX-6 wat die voortou neem. Ons het Robbie Smith saam met Geoff Goddard in sy Firestone Firehawk BMW 325i. En daar trek hy uit na die linkerkant toe. En die derde klas A motor is daar die geel Mazda MX-6 wat ons daar in die agtergrond sien. Wat nou net hier by ons bygekom het. Kom ons kyk in die einde van die eerste ronde. Ben Morgenrood wat die eerste skof neem in hierdie motor vir hom, wat die voortou het, net agter hom is het Robbie Smith. Dan is het Sean Watson Smith, wat saam met Michael Briggs jaag in die klas B Firehawk Opel Astra. En hy is die voorloper in klas B op die oomblik. Verder terug sien ons dat Mike White interessant die voortou geneem het oor Charles Wilken in die 2 klas C Castrol Toyota Conquest.
The Val car, there we see Nick de Waal having brought that car in. They're obviously going to try and get it going. Fortunately, there we see Terry Lewis, with Nick de Waal pointing in the back in the green and yellow, in the back speaking to Glenn Hall, the team manager Oki, Van Skalkbeek, the man in the right with the black pants on and the green shirt. Now they're talking to Terry Lewis now speaking to Nick de Waal, obviously discussing what's going on, what's gone wrong, and hopefully they'll get that car going again.
Wel, ons hoop hulle kan weer terugkom, as natuurlijk in hierdie stadium geen manier wat ons weet wat die fout is nie, maar gezien die linker voorwiel is af, die motor is op die bokkies. Hy staan daar in die kuip, moontlik het ons nou besluit, we gaan kyk of hom kan regkry en of hy kan terugkry, maar hy is natuurlijk uit enige competitie uit in klas en in algeheel. Dat is een motor wat dalk nog algeheel kon gewen het.
Yes, certainly. They finished 3rd overall last year, and you know, when one looks at that, it is so sad. They have most probably done 250 laps in practice this week preparing that motor car. They've had no problems.
Yeah.
Obviously, some major problems.
Great disappointment, obviously.
one of these extraordinary things that's happened. We've had a gearbox failure on the second lap. Now, we've never encountered this problem before. In fact, the Central Sabres gearbox has been incredibly reliable over all the previous 9 hours, and obviously all the parts are new. So it's one of the out of the ordinary things that's happened, and one would say, thank goodness at the beginning, at least we can change it and get going again, but it just feels worse at the beginning rather than right at the end, really.
Well, Glenn, you've done in excess of 200, 250 laps in this car during the week, and this had to happen after 3 laps. Amazing.
Yeah, well, obviously we didn't do 300 laps in this car. We've done it in the spare car. All the race cars were really kept at minimum mileages so that they'd be reliable for the race. And I think this is just one of those really out of the ordinary things that's happened.
And there comes Grant McCleary into the pits, and that's a bit of a pity. See what's wrong. That is the Grant McCleary Hilton Cowie car. They had that unfortunate accident, but the car was going very well in practice after it was repaired. And we see Keith, one of the mechanics, with his hands up, just telling everybody to stay away, and it's just stand. They're still waiting. There's a lot of rules that appertain to what actually happens. It looks like it might be a fuel pump problem.
Wel, dit moet iets wees daar agter in die motor. Dit is waar hulle werk. Miskien kan ons net vinnig sê wat die reëls betref. Daar mag slegs 3 mense aan die motor werk, fisies aan die motor werk op 'n slag. Daar is beamptes wat dop hou om te kyk wat daar aangaan. En indien daar meer as 3 mense aan die motor op 'n slag werk, dan word die span met 'n ronde gepenaliseer vir elke persoon wat ekstra werk aan die motor. Nou, hulle tel nie die brandstofhervuller daarop uit, maar net 3 mag op 'n slag aan die motor werk.
That's right. So you've got 3 technicians that actually work on the car, and the 4th one will be the person who actually fills up with the fuel. And that's a special Bowser. It's not supposed to overrun, but we saw a little bit come out the back there. They're just putting in a bit of extra fuel while the car is stopped. They've now done 25 minutes already, and we see that Grant McCleary is standing still, and it might be a shock absorber, it might be a fuel pump problem. They're certainly working in the back there. That's Grant McCleary in the car. You can see him, he's getting a little anxious with their hand up, touching the steering wheel. Obviously a little anxious as to what's going on. Be quite interesting to hear what was going on, but it looks like it could maybe also be a shock absorber problem. You know, Charles Wilkin is running this race for the Production Car Drivers Championship. Robbie Smith was coming through, but he's running his own race. And there you see him tucked in, and there we've got right in behind there, it's Charles Wilkin, Mike White, and O'Sullivan. And we actually saw Mike White and O'Sullivan sneak their way past on the main straight. As Mike O'Sullivan was making way to let Robbie Smith come through, Charles took his opportunities. Oh, and off goes.
Brian Late.
Brian Late, yes, that's Brian Late's car. He's gone straight off. But he's back on the circuit, fortunately. That's down at Stannic Corner.
Drama alreeds binne die eerste uur van die Stannic 9 uur uitwedren op Killarney. En Ben Morgenrood wat van die begin af voorgeloop het in die kuipe, die renjaer is uit die motor en dit lyk of dit 'n ernstige probleem is. Ben Morgenrood, 'n probleem. Julle was vorig in die voortou in die begin gewees en toe kom julle ewe skielik in die kuipe en wat het gebeur?
Ek vermoed een van die brandstofpompe, of die brandstofpomp het moeilikheid begin gee, want hy het net drukking verloor. En ons het nou daaraan gewerk en nou is Rudolf in die kar uit, ons gaan kyk wat nou gebeur.
Het gelyk of julle redelik maklik voor was en daar is dan weggetrek het van die BMW as.
Ja nee, daar was geen probleem met die kar, hy het baie lekker.
Ben, ons het sopas gehoor dat die motor weer gaan stilstaan uit langs die pad, iewers langs die baan. Kan hy dieselfde probleem hê?
Ek neem so aan, ja. Ek neem so aan.
Maar dis 'n tragedie vir julle.
Dit is baie hard gewerk hiervoor en dis nie lekker om so te eindig nie. Okay.
And there's our leader. That is the man up front, having done quite a few laps at this stage, at 60 laps, and that is Robbie Smith. And Robbie Smith should be coming in the pits any time now. He's got a few laps to go, just waiting for that first petrol surge, and then he knows it's time to bring the car into the pits and change tyres and fill up with fuel. At the same time, they'll do a driver change. Geoff Goddard will get in the car. This team looking for their 3rd victory as a team. Robbie Smith already having won it 3 times, but once he has won it with Roddy Turner, the man who's in the 2nd place car with Michael Briggs and Sean Watson-Smith. See the traffic, and 42 cars started this race, 39 out there at the moment. And Robbie Smith working his way through the traffic, watching what the others are doing all the time. He's got to make every decision, split-second decisions, but he plans his race. He wants to make sure that when he passes the slow cars, that he's not in a position where they could maybe for some reason just make a mistake and take him out of the race. Got to be very careful. He's got 9 hours to do. They've done 1 hour and 33 minutes at this stage. And there he comes. Looks like he's going to do another lap. He was under tremendous pressure. He was chasing Ben Morgenrud in the Mazda early on, the Sassel Mazda MX-6, but that's now gone out of the race. And we've seen coming up to pass, is it the Class B cars? No, that's some of the slower cars further down the track. There's Willie van Vieren and Anthony Taylor's car being driven by Willie van Vieren at the stage. You can see he had a bit of a problem. Willie held him up. He's now going to go around Willie, but Willie's also trying to work his way through the traffic at the same stage. Looks like the Don Craig car just ahead of him as they go down into a quarry corner. Yeah, he's gone through quite comfortably, but working hard all the time. It's hot out there, very, very hot, and these drivers are really working very hard, perspiring. And he has the Capella car. This car was in second place. They had a very long pit stop. Can't pick up where I think he might still be in third or fourth position. We'll tell you as it goes. But this car came in, it had to change front disc pads already after 1 hour and a half, and it's back out on the circuit and circulating very nicely. Had a lot of problems in practice. They got shock absorber problems at this stage. They went out, gone through a lot of shock absorbers, so they're back in middle, and that is the Grant van Skalkbeek Transtech battery car, the Nissan, and he's been followed very closely by Capella. Right, and there we see Geoff Goddard in the pits. He's standing by, he's waiting for Robbie Smith, so this BMW will be coming in pretty shortly. It could be this lap. The Firehawk BMW of Robbie Smith, he's done 63 laps, 2 laps ahead of the second car, that's Craig and Dewby. John Craig in the car at the moment, and here we see Robbie Smith coming down. This, I'm sure, is the lap he's going to come in. And 1 hour 38 minutes, that's about where he wants to be. He wanted to do 1 hour 45 if he could, but this is good going. This is the start of the race, and if he can do 1:38 now, he must probably do 1:45 later on. Is he coming in? Yes, you can see him actually driving the car, swaying it from side to side. He's out of petrol. He's got fuel surge. He's trying to get the fuel. They're not ready. Is he coming into the pits? I think no, he's gone past. There he's got 1 lap to go, and you could actually see him moving the car from side to side. By doing that, what he's doing is moving the little bit of fuel that is in the tank onto the pickup side, and then picks up, and the car will then will obviously pick up the fuel and pump it into the engine and make it go. And this could be problems. I hope it's not too serious. He's going to have to come in at the end of this lap. 1 hour 39 minutes, and he's got 2 laps on the second place car now, and that is Steve Corner and Chris Clark in the Crystal Springs car. They're in second place now, just moved ahead of John Craig and Devin Dewby. That's interesting. That's a turn up for the books. So the privateers are running ahead in Class B. Crystal Springs and Chris Clark and Steve Corner at this stage. There you see him once again just moving that car from side to side. He's got serious problems. Let's hope he's going to get it through. Only got about a kilometre to go now, so I'm sure there won't be any problems. He's going to come down the back straight and take it straight in the pits. I'm sure the team is now waiting for him, and he's going to have done 1 hour 40 minutes. That's exactly what he wanted to do. You can see he's under tremendous pressure there. He's trying as hard as he can. He's trying to get the fuel into the pickup area so that the pump can pull it through, and going through the corners is obviously the worst, especially if he's driving turning to the right, and maybe with the pickup on the right, that could be the problem. That appears to be the problem there. You see, turning to the left now, getting some fuel into the pickup area, picks up, and he's coming into the pits. This is our leader, Robbie Smith, after 1 hour 40 minutes, 1 hour 40 minutes. Coming there, we see him come into the entrance of the pits, coming up to his pit crew, pulls in, and watch the slick work that's going to take place here. They're going to replace the left front and both back tyres by the looks of things. And there we see the Mazda's out. Ben Morgenrud's Mazda with Rolf Duplessis at the wheel. He's got going once again. That car's been standing in the middle of the circuit for a while, and he's got it going, and they've had fuel problems. The problem there with that car was they'd lost fuel pressure, and something's happened. They've got it going. They came in the pits, went out once again, only got a half a lap, stuck in the middle, and there's the Goddard BMW, the Firehawk BMW. Geoff Goddard now in the car, filled up with fuel, waiting, something going on. There's still a jack under the car. He can't pull off with the jack there. Or he's got something under the car. It looks like the jack And that's a problem. That's what they didn't want to have happen. And this is going to be problems. You're going to have to jack up the car. Now, that's what you don't want to have happen when you in an endurance race. Yeah, he's got it out. They've got it out, and away he goes. The circuit they come and they tucked in behind one of the slower cars. It looks like the Marie car, and that's our man. He's still leading.
Robbie Smith, the surprise leader, I would say, after about an hour. How did you feel when you heard that Ben was having problems?
I saw Ben develop a smoke problem about 10 laps before he actually stopped. There's a lot of smoke coming out from under his car. I don't know what's gone wrong, but I was slowly reeling him in, and I knew that something was wrong. But I didn't increase my pace. It's very, very slippery. You get halfway through the corner and the car just lets go completely. And a lot of guys are spinning. I've nearly hit a couple already. I came out of the Malmesbury now, and Louis Coast was absolutely sideways in front of me. We did a bit of avoiding there. It was great fun. But that tires you, you know, when you've got to keep catching the car.
The time that you spent out on the track seemed to be a bit longer than you expected. Was that because you could tap down?
We did slow the pace down. When I saw Ben having trouble, I slowed down a bit. We slowed down about half a second, and I think that gave us another 4 or 5 laps.
Robbie, I don't know whether you noticed, but just as Geoff went out, one of the jacks was still stuck underneath the car, and he had to almost drive over it.
I did see that. That's the kind of thing you don't want to happen. We've got these hydraulic jacks that don't release very quickly, and we've had a bit of trouble with them. I think the relief valve must have jammed, but I'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
Now, for Geoff, what's the message out there?
Geoff must just keep a cool pace of 33, 34, and maintain our position, and then I'll get in and catch up later.
And here we've got the car in second place. That is the Firehawk Opel Astra of Sean Watson-Smith, just having come in the pits. Here we see Sean standing next to the car. He's helped Michael Briggs in the car. Michael Briggs now going to take the car out onto the circuit. And this car in second place and leader in Class B at this stage. They'll change in the left-hand back wheel. They'll change both the front wheels. Just the tyres they need. Fill up with fuel. There'll be 3 men working on this car, plus the fuel man. Car's gone immaculately well. Sean Watson-Smith did a very good first hour and 30 minutes. 58 laps in all, and certainly looking very good and very strong at the stage of the race. With me in the pits, I've got Ben Morgenrud. Ben, started so well for you, picked up problems. Looks like we've had a bit of funny business done in your pit lane.
Yes, Basil, after the car was running beautifully, we were leading by 8 seconds, and an hour into the race, the fuel pressure went away. At first I thought it was a fuel pump that was giving trouble. We came into the pits, replaced the fuel pump, and went out again. Rudolph then took the car out, and exactly the same thing happened. The car stopped running. They changed filters, brought the car back in again, and we opened up this filter. When we took one of the fuel lines off, we saw white granules inside. On further investigation, we found that everything is full of sugar. Now, I thought these things just happen in stories, but it would appear as if somebody came into our pit last night and put a load of sugar into the fuel tank.
That's a very sad situation. I've never heard of this ever before in motorsport in this country.
Yeah, that's the sad part about it. Not so much that it happened to us, but that this sort of thing should happen in motorsport. There's obviously somebody in this pit lane that wanted to win very, very desperately. They saw us as a threat, and this is the result of it.
Well, it's certainly a very, very sad day for motor racing.
Yeah. We're not going to continue now because I understand that sugar can do a lot of damage to an engine, and we don't know how much of this has gone through the motor itself. We've lost over an hour, so we're going to...
Ben, and this is definitely sugar. You definitely confirmed that this is sugar.
Taste it, Basil. Taste it for yourself.
Right, I shall do so. No doubt. Yeah. Sugar with a little bit of petrol there as well.
Yeah, some sass.
1/3 van die renafstand reeds afgelê na 3 ure en weer eens drama in die 1995 Stannic 9 ure uithouwedren hier op Killarney in Kaapstad. As jy mooi kyk, net agter daardie boomstam sien jy 'n swart Honda Belaan. Dit is D26, die AMG Honda van Kurt Elchin, die man wat op die oomblik voorloop in die Stannic Suid-Afrikaanse produksiemotorkampioenskap. En vir hom gaan dit 'n groot tragedie wees as hy hierdie wedren nie kan klaarmaak nie. Hy moet natuurlik sy klas wen om teen Charles Wilken te seevier in die algehele kampioenskap. Maar Basil, daar is nog 'n moontlikheid vir hom dat hy in 'n ander motor kan klim.
Yes, he's been entered in 3 motorcars, so he can now get out and either choose to get into the Wenzel car in Class C, but I think he will go for the Dave Kopke Lawrence Boshoff car that's currently running in front in Class D, and he'll get into that. He has to do 3 hours in that motorcar. He's not allowed to do more than 2.5 hours in a session, so in the Hondas, he will do about 2 hours and then get out of the car and go into maybe the last hour and a half for the night shift. And I think that's what we might find him going across to the Dave Kopke Lawrence Boshoff car, who at this stage, as I said, are leading Class D. Yeah, we can see that's the national Honda of, in the hands at the moment of Lawrence Boshoff. Dave Kopke was out in the car at the beginning of the race, and now Lawrence Boshoff is taking it around. And I think that's the car that we're going to see Kurt Elchin out in.
Wel, hy sal moet wag tot die normale kuipstop natuurlik, en soos ons net nou gesê het, omtrent 2 ure wat hulle in die motor deurbring voordat hulle moet inkom. Hulle was met ander woorde so ure wat gelede laas in die kuipe gewees. En Kurt Elchin sal nou terug gaan kuipe toe, en nou sal daar hard gepraat word en beplan word in daardie Honda kuipe. Kom ons gee vir die situasie soos dit nou daar uitsien. In die eerste plek is dit nommer 3, dis die Firehawk BMW van Robbie Smith en Geoff Goddard. Daar is hy, Geoff Goddard op die oomblik agter die stuur van daardie motor. Vir dusver redelike probleemvrye wedren vir hulle. Baie gemaklike voorsprong van 2 rondes, van 1 ronde oor die volgende motor. Soos wat ons hulle optel op die baan, sal ons hulle verwys, maar dit is Janelle de Villiers en Grant van Skalkwyk, se klas B in Nissan Sabre. Hulle is in die tweede plek 1 ronde agter die voorlopers. En ongelooflik in die derde plek algeheel die klas C voorloper ook, Charles Wilken en Leon Marie op die oomblik agter die stuur van daardie motor. Dis die eerste 3 plekke algeheel en ook die 3 voorlopers in die klas A, B en C. Kurt Elchin was voor in klas D geweest voordat hy daardie teenspoed opgetel het. En nou is dit Dave Kopke wat in sy motor wat in die eerste plek is in klas D. En in klas E miskien 'n verrassing, Louis Gous, fotograaf, en nasionale tydren Springbok navigator Guy Hodgson en hulle Opel Kadett in klas E nou voor in daardie klas E 22ste algeheel.
That's right, and don't underestimate Guy. He's a very quick driver. Louis was telling me in the pits that he's the quickest driver he's ever driven in the 9-hour width, and he's doing a great job. And there we saw the 2 Toyota Conquest running in tandem at the moment, very close to each other. Charles Wilken leading Class C quite comfortably. Really gained very well. These Toyotas are such good performance, so reliable, and obviously Charles Wilken wanting to win his class here today to take the South African Production Car Drivers' Championship. Kurt Elchin's chances at this stage, they're still there, but certainly 1 or 2 of his options have disappeared.
Dis die Brian Luit motor, nommer 20. Brian Luit en Keith Burford, 'n baie goeie tweede plek in klas C in hierdie stadium van die wedren. En daar in motor nommer 19 is dit Ferry de Vos, die redakteur van Motorbeeld, van Beeld natuurlik Koerant, en Adrian Burford, wat namens die Suid-Afrikaanse gilde van motorjoernaliste ingeskryf het in hierdie wedren. Dit is 'n tradisie wat nou die afgelope paar jaar plaasvind hier, dat die top renjaars in die motorskrywers kringe inskryf en 'n motor jaag in die 9 uur uit te wedren. Die jaar vir die eerste keer geborg deur Stannic, en hulle is natuurlik die langstaande borg van die standaard produksie motorkampioenskapsreeks in Suid-Afrika.
And there we see one of the cars in is there problems down there. I think that is the Gary Yarman, Kevin Mann and Richard Roots car, the Formula Forders out in that car. They've had a lot of problems. They've been losing a lot of fuel through the filler cap. But we're watching the John Craig Devon Derby car, the Nissan in the middle of your picture, coming down behind the journalist. I think it's Adrian Burford out in the car at the moment. And this is Devon Derby at the wheel. He's in 4th gear. He would normally come down to 3rd gear into this corner. You'll watch, he'll exit a little bit slower than he would normally would. And they've got major problems. Stuck in 4th gear, they could run right through to the finish. Their biggest problem is trying to get out of the pits after a pit stop. That's when they're going to have problems, Hendrik, and it's sad because these fellows were running right on the pace and could have been up there in 2nd or 3rd place at this stage.
Well, if Michael Schumacher can do it, then they can do it too, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know if they're quite in the same class. And then we see the Castrol car, and it's the Toyota right in behind them. That's Charles Wilkin. Mike White and Serge Damza have gone out with a clutch problem, and that's unfortunate, so they're out of the running.
Behind the wheel. Things are starting to get more comfortable for them. They need to be very careful again this time with that jack, because if you saw the previous pit stop, that jack failed to clear the bottom of the car when they deflated it. It's one of these hydraulic jacks, and the jack was actually stuck just in front of the left rear wheel. That figured it out. Those things, of course, can make a difference if you're in a tight position, if seconds count. They are fortunate in that this is not the case for them. They can actually take it easy. They can take it very easy. They don't need to worry about anything else, because they are in fact the only Class A runner at the moment. Maar ons volg nou hierdie motor, want dit is die Class B motor, die Transtec motor van Janiel de Villiers en Grant van Skalkwyk. Van Skalkwyk op die oomblik agter die stuur van die motor. Hy gaan nie vir 'n hele lang ruk nog in die kuipe inkom nie. En ons gaan net moet kyk hier by ons tydhouer skerm, want op die oomblik kyk na die motors wat af is tot in posisie nommer 30. So nou vir die sê of hy nou die ronde ingehaal het, of hy op dieselfde ronde was, en indien hy was en hy kom nou verby en die BMW is nog nie uit nie, dan beteken dit dat hier 'n nuwe voorloper gaan wees. Die BMW nog steeds in die kuipe, en dis 'n baie lang kuipestop hierdie, hoor. Dis 'n baie lang kuipestop. Hier kom hy verby, en ek dink hulle weet hulle is voor. Ek praat onder korreksie, maar in hierdie stadium dink ek ons het 'n nuwe algehele voorloper hier. Grant van Skalkwyk, wat sy pad oopsny daar deur die stadiger motors om so gou as moontlik 'n groot genoeg gaping oop te maak, sodat indien hy dit is 'n geleentheid hierdie wat mense nie sommer gou gekry nie. Ek is baie verbaas om te sien dat hulle nou al inkom vir remme. Ek wonder of daar nie dalk 'n ander probleem is nie. Maar ek vermoed dat ons in hierdie stadium van die wedren 'n nuwe voorloper het. Sal nou vir u kan bevestig sodra ons rekenaar dit vir ons wys. Kom ons nou uit op die posisies van die voorlopers. Ons kyk nog steeds na Grant van Skalkwyk. Janiel de Villiers, Grant van Skalkwyk is 1 ronde voor Charles Wilkin en Leon Maree. Robbie Smith en Geoff Goddard het nou teruggesak na 1 ronde agter en 4de algeheel, en steeds is daar die motor in die kuipe. So die situasie nou, na 3 uur en 40 minute, is dat ons 'n nuwe voorloper het. Grant van Skalkwyk en Janiel de Villiers in die Transtec Nissan Cyber Klas B, en die BMW is uit. Die BMW is terug op die baan, en hulle het omtrent 'n ronde om in te haal op die voorlopers. Nou gaan ons sien hoe dat Robbie Smith daardie gaping so gou as moontlik sal moet kleiner maak. As dit 'n geskeduleerde stop was hierdie vir die remme, gaan dit waarskynlik hulle laaste stop wees vir remme, en gaan hulle volgende kuipe stoppe slegs wees om bande om te ruil, brandstof in te neem en renjaars om te ruil. Nou sal ons met sien, as hulle nou weer verbykom, gaan ons vir u presies kan sê waar hulle lê algeheel en wat die gaping is tussen hulle en die voorlopers. Daar is die nuwe voorlopers. Grant van Skalkwyk en Janiel de Villiers, en hulle Klas B Nissan Cyber, die Transtec motor, die wit en bloue. Daar is die motor wat ons op die oomblik in die 4de plek het, maar ek vermoed is nie heeltemal korrek nie, want daar die ronde is natuurlik nie getel nie, wat hulle in die kuipe deurgebring het, maar hulle het 'n voorsprong van 4 rondes gehad wat hulle verloor het. Nou hoort hulle op dieselfde ronde te wees as die voorlopers. Now Robbie Smith is just about a lap, 40 seconds behind Grant van Skalkwyk in this car. So we're seeing them making up as much time as they possibly can. Robbie Smith got into that car and immediately took down the lap times that Geoff Goddard had been circulating at before he had to come in because of the brake problems. Going about 2 seconds a lap quicker. Geoff Goddard, of course, were lapping slower because they had no pressure. They didn't have to go as fast as they possibly could. And now Robbie Smith is really fighting his way through the field. Just ahead of him is the Class B Firestone Opel Astra of McCleary and the Hilton Cowie. And we're going to see Sean Watson-Smith in that car as well now. So the positions at the moment, Janelle de Villiers, Grant van Schalkwyk leading, having completed 148 laps. Robbie Smith and Geoff Goddard 38 seconds behind them on the same lap in the second position, and in third position, incredibly for them, the little Class C Castrol Toyota Conquest of Charles Wilkin and Leon Marie. But now we're focusing at the moment on this car. Used to be the leader before they had the problem. They had a comfortable cushion of about 4 laps before they came in with the brake problem. And there's the Dave Kopke car. That's the Nashua AMG Honda, which is the car that Kurt Elton is going to get into in a few minutes from now. Seems like that exhaust is loose, so it doesn't seem like Kurt Elton's problems are over. But he's been entered in this car, and he is substituting for Lawrence Boshoff. And as soon as this car comes back into the pits again, Kurt Elton will take over. He needs to be in that car for a total of 3 hours. Now there's 5 hours left of this race, and he needs to be in that car for a total of 3 hours. Of course, the first 2 hours will be one stint, and then he has to come in again to refuel. Then he will have to spend another hour in the car sometime later. That means probably an extra pit stop for him, which could conceivably drop him down the order in his class. This is the car that Elton is going to get into, but that car is not the leading Class D car. It is, in fact, the Golf, which we're seeing now. There we go. That's Don Cray and Jesse Huggett in that car. Maxie Jonker, who's one of the veterans of this race, couldn't get into this car to drive in the race because of medical problems this week, and his doctor told him not to race this weekend, and that's why he is not in the car. And it's a big pity because he's one of the stalwarts of the endurance race in this in Cape Town. That's the Class D leader. En hier is 'n interessante stryd om Klas B. Dis is Daniel de Villiers. De Villiers op die oomblik voor in daardie klas. Daar is hy in die wit en blou Transtec Nissan Sabre. En hulle is op die oomblik die voorlopers nie net in Klas B nie, maar ook al geel. Robbie Smith en Geoff Goddard is die man op die oomblik in die tweede plek, en hulle is nou weer 'n ronde agter. Hulle is 31 sekondes agter. Hulle weer om daardie gaping al kleiner en kleiner te maak. Smith is besig om 1 minuut 32 te ry. 1:32.9 was sy laaste ronde gewees, en dit is omtrent 'n sekonde stadiger as wat hy net gery het. Ek wonder of Robbie Smith nie dalk 'n probleem in daardie motor het nie, want hy is baie maklik in staat om 31 te ry. 1 minuut 31 om die baan. En dit gaan dit nie vir hom makliker maak om daardie gaping in te haal en by Janelle de Villiers en Grant van Schalkwyk in te kom nie. Die motor in die tweede posisie op die oomblik, nommer A3, Geoff Goddard en Robbie Smith se Firestone Firehawk motor besig om die gaping kleiner te maak na die voorlopers Janelle de Villiers en Grant van Schalkwyk. In die kuipe saam met Basil Koetser is Geoff Goddard.
Geoff Goddard leading quite comfortably by 3 laps after the end of 3.5 hours. Long pit stop. What went wrong?
Well, the car was running like I watched. Rob did his stint, I did mine. Everything was going very well, and just as I was about to pit for fuel, I got fuel surge, and I radioed the pit to say I was coming in for fuel and driver change. Then I ran into a brake problem, and the last lap I was on the circuit, I actually nearly went off the end of the straight there with the problem. We got in here and we saw the brake pad was right through on the left front. We weren't expecting that. We were expecting to go another 2 hours, so it looks like the pace that we were actually putting up there was a little bit quick. We're going to have to back off now and just see where the opposition is against what we can do. But we're I believe, like 20 seconds now behind, and we're catching up again. But it's going to be a tight race against the Nissans. We can see that. We're going to have to go a bit quicker than them, obviously, but our pit stops are going to be longer, and it's really going to be a bit like a game of chess, I would think, yeah.
Well, good luck.
Well, thank you.
Geoff Goddard en Basil Koetser in die kuipe, en daardie gaping nou 28 sekondes. One of the dramas of the day, the Kurt Elchin story, who needs to win his class to take the overall production class championship. There he is in the car of Dave Kopke. Lawrence Boshoff has just got out of the car and he's with Basil Kutse in the pits.
Lawrence Boshoff, you spent 2 hours in the car. You've just been taken out of the car because Kurt Elchin has been put into the car to take over your place because of the problem he had with his car stopping down the back straight. He's now only in second position. You lost the first place you had to Don Cranham with a few laps to go. What was the problem?
Our car's overheating a bit. We were running with the heater on full to try and drop the temperature, but the temperature was creeping right up to the red. So we backed off a bit and ran with the heater on flat out to bring it down, and it started coming down, but it took a long time to get it down.
So Kurt Elchin is out there now in second place with a car that doesn't seem to be as good as it was when it started the race.
Daar's die voorlopers. Daar's die voorlopers, dit is Grant van Skalkwyk en die Transtech Nissan Saber voorloper op die oomblik. En ons behoort nou te sien waar is die BMW, as geen klomp kaas om weer die skoot te kom, het dood nou by die shelfteken te kom. By die, inderdaad, daar is hy. Dit is die gaping van die eerste na die tweede posisie. En vir die afgelope paar rondes is dit Robbie Smith wat so hard is wat hy kon gery het om daardie gaping kleiner te maak. Hier is ons voorloper. Dit is Grant van Skalkwyk. Jy sien daar in die agtergrond die Sasol Mazda MX-6 van Ben Morgenrood wat terug is op die baan nadat hulle die brandstofprobleme gehad het. Waarskynlik heeltemal 'n nuwe brandstofstelsel ingebring daar en hier is Robbie Smith. Robbie Smith aan die binnekant van een van die Crystal Springs motors. En wat gaan die gaping wees? Dit was 10 sekondes aan die einde van die vorige ronde gewees. Hy neem so 3,5 sekondes per ronde van hom al weg. Robbie Smith het nou inkom in die hoofvouwvak in. Neil de Villiers is al reeds verby. Wat gaan die gaping wees nou? Kom by die tyd nou is verby en die gaping is 8.5 seconds. 8.5 seconds.
And there we see the Crystal Springs car in the hands at this stage of Terry Lewis. Peter Corner, the team manager, you're with me. Peter, you've had a torrid time preparing these cars, getting the cars to Cape Town. Terry Lewis is in the car. Is he not in the car yet?
No, at this stage, Stephen's in the car, Terry's in the car for the next stint.
Okay, we know there's been a change. We actually thought that Terry was out in this car. Why have you done this? What has actually happened? What has made you bring the Nissan works driver from Australia across into your car?
Well, Basil, I went across and spoke to Glenn Hall, the team manager at Nissan. They had to withdraw their third car, their car number 5, because of a problem with the brakes. And we then suggested that they put Terry Lewis into our car, but with that goes a long story. Terry has got those Demon brake pads that are capable of running the entire race without changing. And basically what happened is we've now brought Terry into our team with his brake pads.
So this means that what you're actually saying to me is that you won't have to make another stop for brake pads.
That's right. We will now go from now until 9 o'clock. Well, we changed at 5 to 4, and we will run until 9 o'clock this evening on those pads.
Well, that is Charles Walker, the man who's running so well at the moment. They seem to have no problems. I spoke to Charles a little earlier. He was very happy. He said the car hasn't missed one beat. Hasn't missed one beat. He's very happy with the performance. He's just getting into the car now, and they've only done their second stop after 4 hours 31 minutes. 4 hours 31 minutes. They're only in for their second stop. Charles going out for his second session, and I'm sure he's very happy with the situation. He obviously has to get into the car for the first few laps. He's going to have to go out and just feel the car, see if there's any changes from the last time when he was out in the car. It's going to be very interesting for him just to find out if there is any changes with the car in terms of performance, brakes, road holding, tyres and so on. And he'll have to adjust his style accordingly if there are any changes. If there aren't, Hendrik, he can just drive it as he was earlier in the day.
Well, as you just said, it didn't seem like they've had any problems so far, Basil. And if they keep going like this, and if Elchin doesn't solve his problems and get back to the front of Class D, then of course Charles Wilkin will be our new production car champion for this year, which will be of course a tremendous achievement because he's already the overall modified saloon car champion.
Yes, and he's also won Class C in the Group N. So he's the West Bank champion, Group N Class C, and now he's looking at the overall production car championship. It'll be a great achievement for this young man.
Early days still though, about 4.5 hours, about just after the halfway mark at the moment, in the Stannic 9-hour race at Killarney in Cape Town. Still a very hot day out there, believe you me, when you go down, it is incredibly hot. I wouldn't like to imagine what it's like in one of those cars. The guys must be sweating literally buckets and buckets of water. In die Klas B Opel Kuiper daarso, die Sean Watson Smith, of liever die Grand McCleary motor saam met Hilton Cowie en Sean Watson Smith, wat nou in daardie motor klim, is natuurlijk belangrijk vir hom, want of uit die motor uitklim is natuurlijk belangrijk vir hom om ook punte aan te teken. Hy lê op die oomblik derde in die kampioenskapspunte stand en hy is ook die huidige Klas B kampioen. En ons gaan kyk of ons gou met Sean Watson Smith kan gesels. Hy het ook 'n probleem gehad met sy motor. Hy het saam met Michael Briggs ingeskryf en na so uur of wat in hierdie wedren het daardie motor koppelaarprobleem gehad en moes hulle ongelukkig onttrek. Grand McCleary klim nou in daardie motor en hy is reg vir sy volgende skof. Soos ek gesê, dit is belangrik vir Sean Watson Smith om punte aan te teken en om punte aan te teken moet 'n renjaer 3 ure lank in beheer van die motor wees waarmee hy op die ouend klaar maak. Met ander woorde, Watson Smith sal waarskynlik nou 'n uur en 'n half of so gery het in hierdie motor en hy sal waarskynlik nog 'n skof moet doen. Ons is nie seker of Hilton Cowie ook gaan jaag in hierdie motor nie, want dit gaan afhang van die tyd wat daar oor is in die motor. Maar hierdie is die stryd om die eerste posisie, is altyd baie opwindend in 'n uithouwedren soos hierdie. Dis min dat mense stryd om die eerste plek kry, wat so naby is. Al is dit twee motors van verskillende klasse, nog steeds opwindend om te sien hoe hulle in daai gaping. Die einde van die vorige ronde was 3.481 sekondes. Hy het 'n ongelooflike ronde ingesit daar om daardie gaping af te bring van 8.5 na 3.5.
Yes, well, you see, we're involved in an endurance race where it's more than just the speed of the car, the whole balance, the weight, the brakes, everything comes into it, how long they can run on fuel. And this is what's happening now. We're now seeing what happens in endurance racing, and this is fantastic endurance racing. Has the Van Schalkwyk picked up the pace? There he is, see him just in behind the other Nissan, one of his teammates. That's very close. You see, there comes Robbie Smith. It's down to about 50 meters. And he knows he's under pressure. He knows that the BMW is coming. He's been warned. But by doing this, what Robbie and them might do, they might force him to overdrive the car a little or drive it a little quicker than he thought. Because we're all inclined to, when you've got somebody pushing you or somebody just in front of you, you drive above the pace that you should be driving at. And this is critical at this stage. And you know, we've got a Nissan that's just in 6th place at the moment. That's the Bart, is it the Bart car? But one of the Crystal Springs cars, I think it's the Steve Corner Chris Clark car, in 6th position. They've already had a pit stop, so they've got one pit stop in hand on this car that's leading at the moment. They're in the same class, identical cars, and that's going to be an interesting one because there's been a driver change. We'll tell you a little bit about that just now. And here they come. You see there's White, and there's the two leading cars. That's number 1 and 2. Right in into Robbie Smith, goes for the inside. And Schalkwyk opens the door, lets him through, says, come through, and that's great driving from both of them. I think it was the right thing for the Transtech Batteries car to do, just to open up and let Robbie Smith come through.
Daar is Charles Wilken en Leon Marie se motor. En Wilken op die oomblik agter die stuur van nommer C17, tweede algeheel, eerste in klas C, presies waar hy wil wees. En dit plaas eintlik die druk op Kurt Elchin om seker te maak dat hy in daardie posisie bly. In die kuipe van die BMW span, die Firehawk, Firestone BMW van die voorloper Robbie Smith en Geoff Goddard. Robbie Smith wat uit die motor uitklim. En dit is nie 'n geskeduleerde kuipestop hierdie waarskynlik nie. Dit is hopeloos te gou vir Robbie Smith om in te kom. En nou is daardie motor weer terug na die tweede posisie en hulle gaan nog tyd verloor in die kuipe. En die drama in die Stannic 1995 9 uur uithouwedren op Killarney is nog lank nie verby nie. Motor word koel gehou daar, soos jy kan sien deur die waier, daar word vloeistof op die verkoeler gespuit. En dit is om seker te maak dat die enjin wat natuurlik baie warm is dat hy koel gehou word. Dit lyk of daar aan die agterste remme gewerk word van hierdie motor. En dit is nog steeds drama in hierdie wedren. There's the leader, that's the leading car. Grant van Schalkwyk and Janelle de Villiers out of the car, Grant van Schalkwyk behind the wheel. And I don't think they would be surprised because they were very confident before the start of this race that they would be able to take the overall victory. And this is exactly what is going to happen if things go on like they do at the moment. So Janelle de Villiers, Grant van Schalkwyk in that Transtech Nissan Sabre, leading the Stannic 9-hour in Cape Town. Geoff Goddard got back into the car, still smiling it seems behind that balaclava that he's wearing. There you can very clearly see what the balaclava looks like. That is of course to protect his face and his head in case of any fire. Some drivers like the full balaclava with only 2 holes for the eyes. Some like the open-faced style like Goddard is wearing there. And we're watching the leading car. Grant van Schalkwyk. Absolutely every second that they are wasting in the pits means that this car is pulling away further and further and further. And this must be extremely frustrating because they had a very comfortable lead of about 3 laps initially. Then they had the problem with the brakes. They lost that advantage, fell back to about 4th position, made up that deficit, came back into the lead. Of course, Robbie Smith had to drive extremely hard. And in the process, they probably overcooked those rear brakes. We spoke about this initially, that the BMW is the heaviest of the lot, and that the brakes and the tires and the shocks take a tremendous pounding during the course of the race. And this is, I think, exactly what we've been seeing now. Now the left front wheel has been taken off. Look at the smoke coming out of those disc pads, brake pads. Of course, it's very dangerous. There's some fuel, there's some fire. Looks like there's some flames coming out there. That's the brake pad actually melting. That's actually the metal from the brake pad melting. We've got the danger of fire there. The ever-efficient Killarney marshals out here to extinguish any possibility of a danger because of the fire. And I think this car has got major problems. Major problems for the previously leading car. And all the while, Janelle de Villiers and Grant van Schalkwyk are pulling out the gap lap after lap after lap. They are now leading by 5 laps from Smith and Goddard, which means that that's of course the amount of laps that the BMW has lost.
Goddard, problems?
Yeah, another unscheduled pit stop. The rear brakes went far too early for my estimation. Weather conditions being very hot, I think it's just taxing the whole thing. The pace is perhaps a bit too hot what we're putting out. We're going to put new brakes now. I'm going to circulate a bit slower, and let's see where we can finish at the end.
Yeah, we saw the fire in the front here. Was that just brake pads?
I think so, yeah. When you come in and you stand still here, obviously very hot from the circuit, it drips on there, and then we have a fire.
Right, so what is this going to do to your chances of winning today?
Well, obviously I want to get back out onto the circuit. The team's going to have to see where we are and advise me accordingly. But in a long-distance race, you've just got to keep going, and who knows, the other guys can fall into problems as well, so we're going to keep going.
We got Grant van Schalkwyk leading in the Nissan. Do you think you can catch him?
Well, we're going to give it a try, but it's a matter of pace, and we're obviously wasting a lot of time sat here in the pit, so it's a tricky situation. Let me get back out on the circuit. The team will advise me over the radio, and let's see where we end up.
Well, here we are live now at Killarney Racetrack for the Stannic 9-hour race in Cape Town, and what a drama-filled day we've seen so far. You've enjoyed the highlights of the first few hours of this race, and many things have happened. We've had 4 race leaders in the race since the start. We've had the fuel sugar incident, and we've had drama right through the field. We've got a Class C car leading at the moment, and that's the Charles Wilkin Leon Marais car. Quite surprisingly maybe to many people, but not to them, I'm sure. With me, co-driver Leon Marais. You guys must be absolutely happy, Leon.
Yes, it's wonderful to be leading at this stage, but the pressure's really on because night time is coming. We've got about 2 hours 40 to run, and there's 2 cars, Class B cars, about a lap behind us, a lap and 2 laps respectively. But fortunately we're doing about the same times, so they're not really closing as fast as they want. Fortunately, we've got one stop left where I'll take over for the night session, and I think they've got 2 stops to do, which hopefully will put us ahead.
You've done your brake pad change, your compulsory one, and that's it. So this is a run to the line now.
Yes, the only stop we have to do is when I take over for the night session, new tyres and fuel.
But it's a bit of a precarious position, isn't it? I mean, you're just about a lap up.
Yeah, it's very precarious. I mean, it's only a 1600cc car, and as you know, it's always been a giant killer. For many years in the 9 hour, we've managed to take index, and we've won it overall before, and we're really trying to win it overall now. Obviously, we're doing it Class C, that Charles can win the overall production car title.
Leon, you've been out there today. What are the conditions like? What have they been like so far?
The conditions initially weren't bad, but it's got hotter and hotter now, and luckily it's starting to cool off. The track's extremely slippery, and the back markers are a big problem. I nearly ran into someone who just, for some reason, slowed down in Malmesbury, and I just managed to miss him. If I'd hit him, that would have been us, history. And for some reason, he just slowed down, and I don't know why. Maybe his car cut out, or he missed a gear.
What kind of techniques does one use when you go into the night, especially when it becomes just dark, just at dusk?
That's the worst time, because your depth perception becomes a problem, and all the times, the lap times drop off progressively as it gets darker. It's just a natural thing. You can't really see the apexes that you want because the lights are not that bright. They're not like a rally car that you have many spotlights. It's just normal standard car lights, and it is difficult at night, especially with the slower cars, trying to get through the traffic safely.
And of course, you're almost in the middle of the field as well. Well, virtually, you've got the Class A and Class B cars also sort of coming up from behind.
They're all behind, and it's going to be a real dash to the line. I sincerely hope that things stay together and we do it.
Well, the thing is, of course, that if Charles does win,
yes,
and Kurt Alchin stays where he is, you guys have to just hold hands.
Kurt had a problem with his car. They were leading their class comfortably, and it broke. He's lying second now, and if it stays as it is, the status quo is that Charles will win. And that's great for us, but bad luck for Kurt.
Yeah. Leon, we've had the incident, I don't know whether you've heard about it, down the pit lane, where there were allegations about sugar in the fuel of the Sasol Mazda from Ben Morgan route. What are your feelings about something like this?
Well, it's a dastardly deed. I mean, if that's true, and if it happens, it's a sad day for motorsport in our country that people are going to those lengths to stop someone winning a race.
Well, thank you very much, Leon Marie. You're going to go out there again later?
Yes, I'm going out now, soon. They're getting ready for the change now.
All the best there. Thank you very much. That was Leon Marie speaking to us in the Toyota pits. His teammate, of course, leading at the moment. So that's the situation we have at the moment with Charles Wilkin leading his class. He's in a big dice, of course, with Kurt Alchin. As we just said, if Alchin wins his class, Alchin will be the champion. If Alchin comes second, of course, Wilkin will be the champion. So let's go back to the action on the track, and here's Basil Kutsa.
Yes, and there we see the car leading, Charles Wilkin, this amazing Toyota Conquest. It won overall in 1986 in Mike White's and Serge Damso's hands. Today, Charles Wilkin and Leon Marie, and we mustn't forget the big contribution that Leon Marie is making towards this fantastic drive. Leon's very good, very quick, and the good thing about Leon is he can drive the car quickly and keep it all together without damaging the car, and that's what you need in a long-distance race like this. Second, we've got the Nissan Sabre of Janelle de Villiers, the man who won last year with Mark Edwards and Grant van Schalkwyk. We see down the back, we were looking for the Toyota. Here comes the Castrol Toyota, but in second place, as I say, it's the Nissan Sabre of Janelle de Villiers and Grant van Schalkwyk. Here's our leader coming down towards Stannic Corner in third place. A great drive from Steve Corner and Chris Clark, who have taken the Nissan Sabre of Crystal Springs into third place. They were up into second at one stage. They're now 2 laps off the leaders and going very well. The leading privateer doing a great job. They've now got Terry Lewis, the Australian, in there with them in third place. In Class D, as you know, it's Kurt Alchin now in the Nashua Honda. He's leading Class D. In Class E's been a great battle right through all the 6.5 hours so far. We've seen Louis Gose's car, that's an Opel Kadett Cub 1400, have an almighty dice with Chris Boucher and Dave Beecroft, and those at this stage, it was as close as 1-2 seconds for at least 4 hours. The last time I saw it was about 11 seconds gap between them, and that's after 6.5 hours of racing. Here we see the cars going through. There's the BMW, trying to find the BMW of Robbie Smith, had tremendous problems, 2 very long pit stops. Here comes Robbie Smith in this car. They had 2 very long pit stops, one of 9 minutes because of brake problems. They went out an hour later, they had to come back in, and that pit stop took all of 18 minutes. So we're down to about 18th position. They've moved their way right back up now into 8th position, but still something like 8 laps off the pace. And they're trying very hard. They've had a lot of problems, and I think before the end of this race, they'll have to come in and do some more work on the brakes, and that could really cost them some more time and maybe a few more positions. They've tried hard. They want to get the car through to the finish, and they've done a great job, not only in the car but in the pits as well. But who knows, you know, these things happen. The brakes are a bit of a problem. That's the heaviest car on the circuit, and brakes and tyres were always going to be a bit of a problem, but they thought they had it under control. But I think the heat just took its toll, and a few unexpected pit stops. Looks like Geoff Goddard in the car right at this stage as they come down. You see he's hard on the brakes coming out of Quarry Corner, and he's really driving it very hard. Very good combination. They've won this race twice before as a combination, and Robbie Smith has actually won it 3 times. That's the BMW, the Firestone Firehawk BMW, going very well indeed. You can see the fires starting to start up around the circuit, and here's the Nissan. This is the car in second place. That's Chanel de Villiers and Grant van Schalkwyk's car, the Transtech batteries. Nissan going very well. They were leading for quite a while until they came into the pits a short while ago, and then the Vulcan Marie car went through back into the lead. Well, they actually took the lead for the first time, and they're doing a great job. We just see the gap was down to 1 minute 15 seconds between them, and let's see if it's closing down. We'll try and pick it up as they come through. It was 1 minute 15. It's come down from about 1 minute 38 over the last hour, so they're making inroads, not very quickly though. Grant van Schalkwyk and Janelle de Villiers, the man who won last year in a similar car in the Nissan Sentra, now he's in the Nissan Sabre, and two very good racing drivers indeed, as we all know, and they are to win this race. It could be a big battle. The pit stops might be the determining factor towards the end of this race. And we see the Van Schalkwyk, de Villiers car now coming down the main straight, hard on the brakes. They're driving it quickly, but not very hard at all. They're just saving the car. And here's Leon Marie. He's now standing in the pit lane. He's a Sun Air pilot, as you can see. He's in the pits, and he's waiting for Charles Wilkin to bring the car in. This will obviously drop them back into second place. The gap now 1 minute and 5 seconds. So the Nissan Sabre, this car is closing the gap. They've taken off 10 seconds in the last 5 or 6 laps. So they're certainly starting to go a little bit quicker. Might find that the Wilkin car maybe tyres starting to go off and having a few problems with the brakes. You'll see what happens. They're going to be putting new tyres on now when they come in. They'll put on tyres, they'll put it in enough fuel, they'll fill it right up, and then Leon Marie will take it out and see if he can take it through to the end in just under 2.5 hours. So Leon will have a full session to go, 2.5 hours. We'll get a little bit cooler, and the car hopefully will start performing better, and the brakes will start working better, and the tyres also will not go off as quickly. Here we see the man in 8th place, and here's the second place car. This is looks like it's Janelle de Villiers out in the car at the moment. Not quite sure. Looks like it could be Janelle as he comes down into Stannic Corner. And is this the Castrol? Is this the leading car? No, it's not. It's not the leading car. It's one of the cadets coming through. Here's one of the Crystal Springs cars coming through, Willie van Vieren, and we're trying to pick them up. Yeah, that is the Van Schalkwyk car. No, sorry, that is Sean Watson-Smith's out in that car at the moment. And I've got also driven by Cowie and Grant McCleary, and here's the Castrol car. This is the leading car, driven by Charles Wilkin. He's going to be bringing it into the pit pretty shortly. Leon Marie will be getting into that car. Is it this lap? Is it going to be a few more laps? Leon Marie is standing there anxiously, just waiting. Does the hand come out the window? It doesn't look like it. He's going to come through. He's going to do another lap, Charles Wilkin. There's Leon Marie. Watch him as he just watches his car go through. That is, he's waiting for Charles. Obviously just getting some instructions from George, the man who's been speaking to Charles Wilkins, obviously telling him how many more laps to go. And this is the leading car, trying to repeat the overall victory of 1986. Toyota Conquest RSI has won the index of performance for the last 3 years, and looks like it could be going the same way here today. Charles Wilkin trying hard. He's certainly not backing off times at the moment. He's doing 1 minute 36s, and that's certainly very quick for this time of the day. He was going a little bit quicker, about a second quicker half an hour ago, so I think he's got tyre problems. I think the tyres are going off, and the tyres certainly look to be going off, and he's slowing down. We're going to wait for them to come to the pits. It's going to be this lap, could be a lap or two's time, where we'll pick them up and see just what the strategy is. You saw George come across and speak to Leon Marie don't know if he said we're going to do a few more laps and see if Shaw can stretch it a little bit more, or if he maybe he said to him that we're coming in the next lap, so be ready and to get into the car. The Toyota team very slick in the pits, don't have too many problems. They get in and out of the pits very quickly, and this car is so light, it's so quick, so light on the brakes, handles so well. It's a perfect balanced car for an endurance race.
Well, Basil, jy kon gesien het net die onderhoud dat ek gedoen het met Leon Marie, die gemakkelijkheid waarmee hulle dit gedoen het. They are quietly confident, although they know that anything can go wrong. It normally does, as Murray Walkers want to say, and there's no reason at all to relax. So anything can happen, and it might just happen, and we'll just have to wait and see.
There's still 2.5 hours to go, 2 hours 25 minutes at this stage, so there's a lot that can still happen in 2.5 hours. And I think, as you said, if it's going to happen, it will happen, especially when you're running in front. But this car has been so well prepared for so many years. They do so well to the Toyota team. It looks very unlikely, but then we must say that Mike White and Serge Damso went out after about 2.5 hours with a clutch problem.
Yeah, they don't know exactly what the problem was. In fact, I spoke to Wemme while I was down there, Wemme Haddad, who's the team manager. We're looking at somebody going off there. Can't quite make out. Number 45 is a Class C car, and that's Bevan Bertol. No, it's not Bevan Bertol. This could just be. Let's see. There's the car in second position. Anyway, what I was saying is that Wemme Haddad, he wasn't quite sure what happened to that car. They thought that maybe somewhere in the car, the engine had brand some bearing.
We see Kurt Elchin also going through in that pack, just ahead of the Don Cray Jess Haggett car, and this looks like Van Skalkwyk, Janelle de Villiers car. It's driving very nicely are these two. They've gone like clockwork. They've done everything that's been asked of them by the team, and two very good young racing drivers, and certainly make up a fantastic team.
Well, they of course have something to prove as well. I mean, Janelle de Villiers won last year with Mark Edwards. I'm sure he'd like to do repeat it.
That's correct, and you know, just watching that car as it went through Quarry Corner, you can see how hard they drive them. They drive them hard enough to get that inside back wheel off the ground. And you can see it actually came off the ground and stopped turning, and that just shows for how long that wheel was up in the air. They drive them right to the limits, but while I say that, they're not quite on sprint pace. They've got to be very careful. There you see them coming down past Don Cray and up through Sabat Corner. So here comes the BMW of Robbie Smith, still in 8th position, and we got John Craig with us and Hendrik Verwoerd. I think you're going to be talking to John Craig and just telling him, have a chat with him and see what's actually going on, what happened to them and what their teammates are planning.
That's right, Basil. We are just going to keep on going until we find the car. We still want to show you something else before we get to John, so we'll be chatting to John Craig just now. John Craig, of course, driving with Devin Juby, both of them been Nissan factory drivers, works drivers this year in Stannic Group N, and John, of course, was in contention to win Class B this year until an unfortunate happening at Kyalami a few weeks ago. So we'll be talking to him just now while we're looking at the rest of the cars and trying to find that car. We'll be back at the track in a few seconds from now. Things getting difficult now for our cameraman also, of course, with the sun setting slowly in the west and shining right into our camera lenses. We are trying to pick up where exactly John Craig's car is. At this point, they are lying 7th overall. Devin Juby at the moment behind the wheel, and we'll be chatting to him in a few seconds from now as soon as we pick up that car. In the meantime, it's still Wilkin leading, Charles Wilkin leading from De Villiers. So that's the car. That's Devin Juby behind the wheel there. John Craig, welcome in the commentary box here. You guys have a problem there. You only have one gear.
Right, Hendrik. It's stuck in 4th gear. 3rd gear broke earlier on, For a short while we actually had gears, but they were very stiff, so we've elected to rather leave it in fourth rather than try and use, you know, any of the other, well, second and fifth, and then lose them all. So we've just left it in fourth, and it's going very well.
It must be incredibly difficult to drive the car in one gear. I mean, Michael Schumacher has done it, so I suppose you guys can do it as well, but especially the pull-aways in the pits maybe, and even the slower corners?
Very, very much so. You know, through Damps and Malmesbury, the fast corners is actually not really too different. But pulling out of the two Stannic and, you know, Castrol, the two tight corners, phenomenally difficult. You really have to go in very quickly, because the other problem is you lose all your braking effect of the motor. So you don't want to work the brakes too hard. You've got to just get it spot on to get to the apex of the right speed, turn the car, and then try and get a bit of a drive out, but it is difficult, sure.
We're speaking to John Craig, who's the co-driver of Devon Juby in that car, number B6. They are lying 7th overall at the moment, and 4th, if I counted correctly a few minutes ago, 4th in their class. 7th overall, an incredibly good performance there for a car that's got only one gear. Also, John, of course, these engines are better at higher revs, or the torque tends to come in a little bit higher, the torque characteristics of the engine. So once again, you need to try and conserve the engine while at the same time you are running very low revs.
Correct. You know, the engine does like to rev. It's certainly a phenomenal engine up in the top of the rev range. Right down, I think we're pulling about 3,000 RPM out of the two tight corners. It's got plenty of torque, phenomenal to be able to rev to the type of, you know, revs it can go to and still have torque at about 3,000. But it generally is happier a little higher up, and it does put a lot of stress on it, flooring it, you know, when it can't actually pull cleanly. So you've got to be careful not to overstress it yourself, sure.
How have things like brake and tyre wear been going so far?
I mean, brake wear phenomenal. In fact, there's a compulsory brake pad stop been brought in, but all we did was take the brakes out and put them back. We didn't replace them, just to get by. We actually did make a stop. Tyre wear, great. And bear in mind that, as I said, without any compression braking, by going down through the gears, we're working the brakes extremely hard. And they're standing up. Phenomenal.
You have only, what, one more pit stop to go?
We'll come in at about 8 o'clock. One advantage is the car is using a lot less fuel. We're going well over 2 hours on a tank. So Devon's due in around about 8 o'clock, and I'll take it through to the end. And you know, we just hope that a few retirements are on the way, and we don't think we're going to fall much further back, and things should turn out well.
John, you've had a good year this year in the Works car since you've joined them.
Right.
In fact, you were in contention for the Class B Championship, as I said just now, until something unfortunate happened at Firehawk.
Sure, it was, you know, the season started with us not even doing the first round. There was a problem with the classification of the Opel we had then. And then ran a very small private setup for a couple of races, got the opportunity with Nissan, and it's just gone from strength to strength. And it's been a great year. We really did close up strongly in the latter part of the season, and as you say, we just didn't quite get it together, Kyle Army, to pull off the overall title. But you know, next year we'll hopefully be there at the beginning and give it a full shot.
Just looking at Leon Maria there. John, how does it feel when you stand in the pits there waiting for the car to come in?
Man, obviously, you know, it's a feeling of excitement as well as apprehension, because you know the other guy's done a good job. You don't want to let the team down. You don't want to undo what he's done. And of course, you want to remember your drills. There's certain drills to get the other driver out and get yourself in, and you don't want to make any mistakes there. So it's pure concentration.
You want to help us talk us through this pit stop here? We have the leading car in the pits now. That's Charles Wilkin that will get out of the car. And of course, Leon Maria will be getting in there. What is in fact happening there?
Leon will be helping him with the seat belt, get the belt out and over him and helping to clip in. Very important to be plugging in the radio link and be getting the water bottle into the holder in the right place. And then just there may be a time for a short discussion on the performance of the car, anything to watch out for. And that's about it. But you know, by that time the tires will be on and they'll be ready to go. Normally the fuel controls, they normally get the wheels on quicker than the fuel can go in. So they should be ready to go shortly. Looks like they're almost ready to go.
I seem to remember from the days that I did take part in this event that you're not allowed to refuel under pressure. In fact, there is not allowed to be pressure in the refueling rig.
Yeah, very much so. It's got to be gravity feed, and you're not allowed to put bigger refueling hoses on the car itself, so you're restricted by both gravity and the size of the intake on the car. Generally, I think you can't get a car full in much less than about 40-50 seconds.
Good pit stop there, and we see the BMW also coming out. That's the Robbie Smith and Geoff Goddard car. They are lying 8th at the moment, or before they went in. And there's Charles Wilkin. They've fallen back to 2nd position now, of course, with this pit stop, John, but Janelle de Villiers and Grant van Schalkwyk probably still have to have another pit stop as well.
Probably. I haven't been in the pit for the last short while, but yes, I would imagine they've got one more stop to do. And at the moment, Janelle is in the car. And Grant will run through to the end.
Very much like people who know the Grand Prix races, exactly the same kind of thing. You know, the pit stops tend to skew the results a little bit until everybody's had their pit stop. So at the moment, Wilkin lying 2nd, but in effect probably first later on.
Correct. You've got to just see what happens in the next stop.
Okay. And we still have the leading car circulating there. It will be interesting to see what will happen, maybe the time difference between this pit stop and the de Villiers pit stop.
That's going to be decisive for sure. So the Toyota's pit work has been very slick, so is ours at Nissan. That will be decisive, and also another factor that's going to come into play is how the cool air and the darkness affect the two cars. We suspect the cool air is going to help our 2-litre car more. It's obviously sucking in more air, so the more dense the air, the quicker it's going to go. So we suspect that it's going to, let's say, our power increase in the cool air is going to be more than the Toyota.
Might be able to catch up.
We expect to go quicker as darkness falls and the temperature falls.
John Craig, thank you very much for the visit to our commentary box here. I think you'll probably like to get down to your pit and see how things are going there. I can tell you, you're lying in the 7th position at the moment. Fourth, I think, in your class. So John Craig, thank you very much. Yep. All our best to Devin, Julie and the rest of the team.
Thanks, pleasure.
What we're going to do now is we're going to put the headset on, the microphone on, and we're going to give it to Grant McCleary. Grant, who we know from the AA Fleet Care Super Touring Car Series this year. And we're going to find the car that he's co-driving with Hilton Cowie. And Sean Watson-Smith is also in that car. First of all, let's just take a look at this situation that we have. Get our computer up and running properly, then we'll be able to tell you who is lying where. Charles Wilkin fell back to 2nd position. In fact, Leon Marie, of course, behind the steering wheel of that car. At the moment, we're just trying to pick up the McCleary car, and then we'll bring it to you.
Gone off the road at Malmesbury.
Ooh, we've just heard from Grant that the car's gone off the road at Malmesbury. That's a Sabat sweep. We'll try to pick that up for you. If we can get that picture there, Grant, while you're sitting here and telling us exactly what is going on in the race, do you know exactly what happened there? We don't seem to be able to pick it up on our cameras.
Well, the car's sitting just to the right where you are looking now. It's the exit of Malmesbury. I believe the left wheel came off. Hilton Cowie was driving, and it's a little bit disappointing. We've had a very up and down day. We started off very well, and we had a couple of problems with the brakes early on in the race, but you know, we've gone from 2nd to 4th to 34th, back to 4th. So and now this has just happened. So it's very, very disappointing.
How does something like that happen? Do you think maybe the wheel nuts just sheared off or something like that?
Well, you know, everything's getting so hot. The brakes are running at unbelievable temperatures, and you know, I think all the components on the brakes and suspension are just overstressed, and you know, it's very unlikely. You never know what can happen. You can get a puncture, and you know, the car could have gone off.
Really a pity that one of the front-running cars did go out. What would that do to Sean Watson-Smith's championship position?
That's not good. It's not good for him. His car went out after 2 hours. Had a clutch problem, and he got into our car. We were running fourth at that stage, and it's not good at all. He had a chance of getting third in the championship, but this doesn't look good at all. If that car there, the Craig GB car, keeps going.
Okay, thanks, Grant. We'll be speaking to you just now. We have Charles Wilkin in the pits with Basil. Charles Wilkin, of course, the leading car until their pit stop, so let's hear what they have to say.
Charles Wilkin, it looks like it's been hot work out there.
Yeah, I'm quite exhausted now. It was a long stint, 2 hours and 15 minutes. But I gave it my best, and the team worked hard, and so far the pit stops have been without any trouble, and the car's just going fantastic.
Leon Marie's out there. He's got 2 hours, 10 minutes to do just to take it through the finish. I'm sure you must be pretty happy with where you stand at this stage. I think the Nissans still have a pit stop to do.
Well, I don't really know what's happening because I just climbed out the car, but you're not going to do another pit stop, so I'm quite happy to be where we are. And I could see Janelle score for about 50, 60 laps out there, and I was just trying to keep the same gap between us and try my best, and I'm very happy.
Well, at this stage, you're still on the lead lap. There's less than a lap between you and the leading car. In 1986, Serge and Mike won in the Toyota Conquest RSR. You've won the last 3 years. You guys have won the index in this car. You're looking for another overall win today.
Yeah, we're looking for it, and I must just thank my team for working so hard on the car, and hopefully we can do it.
You've also got a very competent and very good co-driver in Leon Marie. He's very steady. At the same time, he can keep on the pace with the car. That must have been a big factor in today's drive as well.
Yeah, well, Leon and I come back quite a long time, and I've got trust in him and me. So I trust Leon to the end, and I'm sure he'll pull it through.
Well, I'm sure the next 2 hours, 10 minutes are going to be anxious moments for you. Well, we wish you all the luck and hope it all works out well for you.
Thanks a lot.
Charles Wilkin daar in gesprek met Basil Koetser in die Kuipe. Het is bijna tijd voor ons om te groet. Maar as u graag na die hele wedren se hoogtepunte wil kyk, moenie vergeet nie, vanaand om 20 minute oor 10 gaan u inskakel hier op NNTV Sport vir 'n opsomming van die hele dag se wedren. En dan kan u sien hoe dit ook geëindig het vanaand. Dit is 'n 9 uur wedren hierdie en die einde van die wedren natuurlik vanaand om 9 uur. 12 uur vanmiddag begin. Ons kyk na die voorloper. Nie die voorloper nie, die man wat in die tweede plek is, Leon Marie op die oomblik in C17, dis 'n klas C Toyota Conquest, die Castrol span. En hy is 1 ronde agter die voorloper en dit is Grant van Skalkwyk en Janelle de Villiers en hulle Transtech en Nissan Cyber in klas B. Maar hulle het natuurlik nog 1 Kuipe stop om te gaan en dan sal ons sien wat dit aan die algehele posisie doen. Hier kom Charles Wilkin hulle af in die agterste powervak. Die motors bereik 'n snelheid, daar is die voorloper. B4, die Transtech Nissan Cyber, kyk net hoe sluit hy daardie agterste wiele. Soos dat hy hard op die rem met klim so 190 km/h, 200 km/h miskien omtrent wanneer hulle in die agterste powervak afgaan. Dit is die vinnigste gedeelte van die baan en dit is waar hulle die hoogste snelheid bereik. Remme werk baie hard, maar ek dink nie soos wat John Craig net gesê het, hulle het werklik probleme met hulle remme nie. Hulle het spesiaal ingevoerde remskoene van Australië af en verlede jaar het 'n soortgelyke motor hierdie wedren algeheel gewen met Janelle de Villiers en Mark Edwards agter die stuur. Soos ek gesê het, ons gaan vanaand om 20 oor 10 vir u al die hoogtepunte bring van verjaar se Stannic 9 uur uithou wedren op Killarney in Kaapstad en ons kan dit vir u dan bring van 20 oor 10 af tot seker so middernag gedang af hoe lank dit geneem. Dan kan jy die hele wedren sien van die begin tot die einde en dan kan jy sien hoe dit ook afgeloop het want binne enkele minute van nou sal ons moet begin groet hier uit Kaapstad uit. Die sonnetjie is besig om af te trek aan die westerkant toe. Was 'n baie warm dag vandag geweest. Hier en daar so 'n klein bietjie wind wat opgesteek het. Maar nie werklik enige faktor nie en nie werklik enige invloed gehad op die wedren. Die manne het werklik baie hard gewerk in hierdie wedren vandag. Baie hard gesweet, letterlik en figuurlik. Die voorlopers daar dan is Grant van Skalkwyk en Janelle de Villiers en hulle Transtech Nissan Cyber klas B motor tweede plek. Charles Wilkin en Leon Marie klassie, ons het net oor u gewys hoe hulle lyk in die derde plek. 'n Baie goeie vertoning deur die top privaat span hier is Steve Kona en Chris Clark. Hulle jaag in 'n soortgelyke motors soos hierdie ene, die Crystal Springs weergawe daarvan. Hulle is derde algeheel, tweede in klas B. En dan het ons van Vieren en Taylor in die klas C Toyota Conquest in die 4de plek al geheel. In die voorpunt in klas A is dit Robbie Smith en Geoff Goddard. Hulle is in die 8de plek al geheel. Hulle is so 7 rondes agter die voorlopers. En besig om stadig maar seker in te haal, maar ek dink nie hulle het veel van 'n kans nie. Klas D is dit Kurt Elchin. Klas E nog steeds Louis Gous. En daar word hard gewerk. En dit lyk my dis die gilde van motorsport skrywers se motor wat inkom daar. Tyd vir ons om te groet. Ons hoop jy die afgelope uur en 'n half saam met ons geniet en onthou vanaand om 20:10 is ons terug met hoogtepunte. Hulle het remprobleme gehad. Hulle het opgeskuif nou weer na die 7de posisie, maar nou kom hulle in vir waarskynlik hulle tweede laaste kuipeslop. Daar is nog so uur en 3/4 oor voordat hierdie wedren aan die gang is. So dis heel waarskynlik hulle laaste kuipestop daardie. En dit is Robbie Smith wat in daardie motor inklim. Daar's ons voorloper, motor nommer P4. Dit is Grant van Skalkwyk wat op die oomblik in daardie motor is.
Yes, and they certainly come into the pits very, very shortly. And that is Chanel de Villiers. He's in the car at the moment. And Grant will be getting into the car. And there you see, there's Grant van Skalkwyk. Grant van Skalkwyk standing in the pits. Glenn Hall giving a few instructions to the mechanics. They've got to have a very quick pit stop, because this could be the deciding factor in the race. 1 hour, 15 minutes to go. And they need to win it. It could be the deciding factor. It's going to be a sprint race from here onwards. They feel that they've got enough brakes. They're going to change the 2 front tyres and maybe the left-hand back tyre. They're not too sure. They'll see now as it comes in the pits. This is Janelle de Villiers taking this Transtech Batteries car into the pits. Just see if he's going to come in. Does the hand come out the window? It doesn't look like it. He's going to do another lap. So he keeps the team waiting just that little bit longer as they come down the main straight. And that's Janelle de Villiers moves out, passes the Phillips car. And the Arthur Shack car as he comes down into Continental Corner. You can see the car's very loose. It's done 7 hours, 12 minutes already. It's been hard work. It's been driven very hard. And they're looking for a win. Janelle de Villiers certainly looking for his second win in a row. Grant van Skalkwyk hasn't won this race yet, and he wants to win it. He's going to try very hard. Look, you see the back wheel just comes off the ground. That wheel stops as he goes through Quarry Corner. Goes out wide. He's hard on the gas. Notice not scrubbing off too much speed. He's driving it as carefully as he can. Oh, somebody's just gone off. We didn't see who that was. But that's the leader.
Die gevaar daarvan, Basil, natuurlijk is dat indien daar stof of grond of iets op die baan beland het, dat hulle dalk nie voorbereid gaan wees daarvoor en gereed gaan wees om dit te kan hanteer. Maar het lyk my nie daar's 'n probleem daar vir Grant van Skalkwyk of liewer vir Janelle de Villiers nie. Jong man van Stellenbosch as Okkie van Skalkwyk. Dit is Grant van Skalkwyk se pa, is ook die tegniese bestuurder van die span. Glenn Hall met sy rug na ons toe, die spanbestuurder van Nissan Motorsport, DP Nissan Motorsport. En vir hulle is dit 'n baie belangrike wedren hierdie. Hulle wil baie graag hierdie wedren algeheel wen. En niemand sal dit graag meer wil wen as Grant van Skalkwyk nie.
Certainly, yeah. His father won it last year with Janelle de Villiers and Edwards in the car in the Nissan Sentra, the BP Nissan Sentra. This year, part of the team is the Transtech Batteries, Nissan Sabre. And is he staying out? It looks like he could be going out once, doing another lap.
There's the indication that he's probably going to come in. Not probably, he's going to come in. And he was saying exactly that your depth, your depth perception is totally different from when the sun is shining and when you can see how far the car ahead of you is and how far the car behind of you is. So he's coming into the pits. Yes. Hard on the brakes there, trying to save as much time as possible, not slowing down too much before he has to brake to get into the pit lane. Janelle de Villiers getting into the pits. Now it's going to be interesting. We're going to see, I think the difference there, the time difference between them is 1 minute and 13 seconds. Yes, 1 minute and 13 seconds.
And if you remember, to do the same job, the team of the Toyota team took 1 minute and 7 seconds. So they're wanting to get out at about the same time. They have to get there. They've got the quicker pace on the road. So they can actually out-sprint the Toyota if they don't have any brake problems or any other problems. So yes, they can out-sprint the Toyota. So I think what they would look for is maybe just to get a 30-second gap, 20, 30-second gap, and just hold it. And there we see, that's Janelle de Villiers. That's the Super Touring car driver, the Nissan driver, out the car.
And let's see if we can, sorry Basil, let's see if we can pick up that. There we go. There's the other car. Once they get past the pits, they are in the lead. Once these guys get past, they will be in the lead. And the Nissan is out. And they're out. This is going to be interesting. There are going to be just a few seconds between these cars. Are they going to keep on to hold on to the lead? Here they come. Let's see, where is the Toyota? Not that yet. Not that one just behind that car. Not that one, yes. I think they still have the lead. I think that one coming under the bridge there, Basil.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. There we go. This is the dice for the lead with Grant van Schalkwyk in the leading car. There is car number C17, which is the Wilken Marais car. And that is a car in second position. And where they had a deficit of 1 minute and 13 seconds, they have something like 10 seconds at the moment.
Well, I think they have achieved exactly what they wanted to achieve. Speaking to Robbie van Schalkwyk in the pits 20 minutes ago, he was actually saying to me that all they wanted to do with this car in picture now, this is the Nissan Sabre, there's Janelle de Villiers just out of the car, drinking a little bit of cooled liquid. He's obviously had a rough time. It's been tough out there. It's hot. You can see how he's perspiring. Very fit are these young racing drivers. They train every day in the gym. You can see the perspiration just running off his face. He's done a great job, and he's very happy. There's Robbie van Schalkwyk, the man I was telling you about, who said all they want to do is they've planned it that they can get out of the pits in front of the Toyota. And here it is. This is the middle car in the picture. Here he comes, the blue and white Nissan Sabre, coming down to pass the Automark car. That's the journalist in the Toyota Conquest, RSR.
I think that is the Brian Lloyd car, but what you're going to find now is that the Class B car is going to pull away.
Right, and there we see John Craig and Devin Dewby car just gone off. I think that is Devin Dewby still at the wheel. Not too sure, but I think it's still Devin Dewby at the wheel. That's down at Continental Corner. They've been stuck in fourth gear, and maybe that's what happened. He went in, maybe he's lost all his gears. You watch, he's going to get off, get going very slowly. He's going to have to slip the clutch, and that's right down the end of the main straight. Maybe they've lost their brakes. It's getting to that sort of time in the race that they could be having problems. Let's see if he can get that car going. He's stuck in fourth gear. He certainly was for most probably 6.5 hours now, and let's see if he's going to get it going. There he goes, and yes, it looks like that is Devin Dewby at the wheel. He gets the car going out of Continental Corner, and yes, you can see it's picking up very slowly.
Janelle de Villiers, het lijkt na strijd tot die einde nou tussen julle BB Nissan span en die Castrol Toyota span.
Ja, op die oomblik loop ons karretjie baie lekker. Ons het 'n pitstop moes ons doen wat ons nie beplan het nie, want die accelerator linkage het gebreek. Moes ons inkom vir 'n pitstop, maar gelukkig het dit hulle het vinnig reg gemaak. En ek het net 'n bietjie harder gedruk om net 'n bietjie gap op die Toyota te kry. So op die oomblik is ons so 11-12 sekondes voor hom. Ons moet net daai afstand hou en die kar voel baie goed. So ek is volmoed dat ons die einde gaan sien.
What a beautiful background as the sun sets here over Killarney outside of Cape Town. You can see the lights of the cars coming on. This is the difficult time for the drivers. The sun is set. They don't have the sun in their eyes anymore, but you see the lights at dusk. You see them coming down towards us. That's the lights, and it's so difficult for the drivers because this is at dusk. When it gets dark, at least they know where they're going. But the biggest problem is they now can't identify the cars ahead of them. They don't know whether it's a slow car or a quick car until they get right in behind the car, and then they've got to make decisions. So they've got to be so careful. Oh, there we see down in the pit lane. This is the Craig Dewby car, the one we saw go off that's stuck in fourth gear. You can see him slowly coming out of the pits, slipping the clutch as he comes out, and I think that's John Craig out in that car right now, down towards Stannic Corner. You can see the lights coming towards us. You can see the lights starting to shine off the tar, not being effective at all. So it's the most difficult time in the evening for them as they're coming down through this twilight and trying to find out and sort out who's ahead of them. It's really a difficult time because the quick guys are coming up maybe 20-30 kilometers an hour quicker when they enter some of the slower corners, and they've got to be so careful when they plan the overtaking maneuvers. If one of the slower cars spins out in front of them, often you find you only notice that the car's in the road when you're halfway through the corner. This is Continental Corner, and we see in the background the track commentators up there on top of the Goodyear Bridge. You see, this is what happens. One of the quicker cars, that's looked like, well, here comes the BMW. Those blue lights that just flashed through, that was Robbie Smith. They're up into sixth position now. Robbie Smith and Geoff Goddard. Robbie Smith out in the car. Have had a lot of problems with brake pads. This is one of the Crystal Springs cars, and that's the That's the kids, as they say, the Formula Forders. They out in that car. And there's the Davies Boltard car coming out of Stannic Corner. And that's the Lupini car. That car's been in the war, as you can see. It was bumped from behind a little earlier in the race, but in practice it had a lot of problems. There's somebody losing fuel as he comes out of Continental Corner and heads down towards Quarry Corner. What a magic setting, but this is the difficult time for the drivers.
Okay, van Skalkwyk, sien nou op die oomblik in die motor vir die laaste skof. Hoe voel die hart, hoe voel die maag?
Hendrik, is bietjie moeilik op die stadium. Ons sit met 'n probleem met Grant se kar dat die motor weer bestaan dat ons uit remme uit kan hardloop. So dit is baie moeilik op die stadium. Is nie weer snaagbaar, dit is nie aan te twyfel nie.
Wat is die bevele wat uitgaan van die Kuipe af na hom toe op die radio?
Die bevele op hierdie stadium is hy moet so stadig moontlik gaan om voor die Toyota in die BMW te bly. Ons gaan nie probeer om enigiets snaaks te doen op die stadium in geval van ons moet probeer om die wedren klaar te maak en dis wat vir ons belangrik is.
Dit sal indien dit weer nie gebeur jou tweede wedren in 'n ry wees wat jy gaan wen.
Ja, heeltemal korrek. Ek is eintlik baie trots dat ons met 'n klas B kar dit weer kan doen. Hooplik gaan ons dit doen, maar ek dink ons kanse is baie goed. Ja, nee, is absoluut fantasties. Baie werk ingesit. Twee van die beste bestuurders in die land en ek het vol vertroue.
En die Kuipespan ook, uitstekend. Daardie laaste Kuipestop was van die beste wat ek al gesien het.
Hendrik, dis nie aan te twyfel nie. Om 'n 9 uur te wen is nie 'n one-man show soos in Engels sê nie. Dit is absoluut spanwerk en dit is die enigste manier wat jy dit kan doen. Kuipe span was absoluut fantasties geweest.
Dis 5 minute voor die 8ste uur wat verby is en weer eens drama in hierdie wedren. Gelukkig nie op die baan of betrokke by enige iets nie, maar die pasmotor is uit, die veiligheidsmotor is uit en die hele veld word stadiger stadiger ry. Die rede daarvoor is 'n brand wat uitgebreek het in die middel van die baan by die renstelbaan. Dit lyk of dit 'n voertuig is wat daar staan en brand ewe skielik het ons net die vlamme gesien. Ons weet nie wat die oorsaak is daarvan wat hierdie voertuig in die brand gesteek het nie, maar die brandweer is op die toneel en hy moes natuurlik eers om die baan ry en dit is die rede hoekom die veiligheidsmotor uit is en die hele veld nou agter hom gaan opvorm. So dit is 'n dramatiese, jy kan hoor ons is nog 'n bietjie uit asem want ons moes ophardloop om te kom gesels daaroor en dramatiese tonele hier op Killarney. Daar is nie mense sover ons weet wat betrokke is by hierdie insident nie. Om die waarheid te sê, die vlamme is so erg dat ons nie eens kan sien wat is dit, of dit 'n bakkie of 'n voertuig of watter soort van 'n voertuig, 'n motor of wat dit is wat daar brand. Ewe skielik net sien ons dat daar vlamme is. Ek het geen ontploffing gehoor nie, maar daar's geen aanduiding in hierdie stadium van die rede vir hierdie gebeure op Killarney nie. Intussen is die hele veld nou opgevorm agter die veiligheidsmotor en die reël hier geld net soos wat in Grand Prix wedrenne geld. Die veiligheidsmotor tel die klim op die baan, gaan op die baan. Die motors is verplig om agter hom op te vorm, stadig te ry. Niemand mag by mekaar verbygaan nie.
See them, yeah, they come towards us. We can see in car number 3, that's our leading car. And this is getting tight. We just wait for the time difference. It's 311 laps done, 311 laps. What's the time difference going to be? It's 9 seconds. So he's got away by half a second in that lap, 6, but you can see how worried Glenn Hall is. He's the team manager. There's the Australian who supplied the brake pads, and that's the technical man in charge of the cars, the preparation of the cars, Okkie van Skalkwyk. Not only does he prepare these Nissans, but he also is the man whose son is out there now leading this race. Just look for those front discs. When he gets on the brakes, they glow red hot, and that is an indication, Hendrik, that he doesn't have any more brake pad left, but he's actually got the metal on metal.
Indeed, Basil, and that is hairy. Let me tell you that I've been in a similar situation to that a few years ago in this race, at the end of the race, and there's about half an hour to go. That means that they still have to go 30 plus minutes without any brakes, at least on that left front wheel. We cannot see the other two, but you can see the tension in the pits there, the worry on the faces, the strain of knowing that anything can go wrong at any point. This is the time of the race where you don't need anything like that to go wrong.
Well, you know, he doesn't have anything to play with. That gap is so small as he goes down into Stannic Corner. He's got 9 seconds, and that's not a gap after 9 hours. And what he would like to have had now was maybe a lap where he could really go slowly. But he can't, because the problem now is, there we see them in the pits. His biggest problem is that he could pop the calipers through the brake backing plates, and then he's got no brakes, and that could be very dangerous. 312 laps, and let's see what the gap's going to be. It's passing through the inside. He's using the tail of the car now. You can see him turning it in, flicking it in, scrubbing off the speed with the tires, but that could be problems for his tires. He could be using up a little bit of the back tires too quick, and we see it's still 9.044 seconds, exactly the same in that lap, and I think this looks like it could be a Toyota win.
Well, it's quite possible, quite possible. All he needs is to brake once too late, get the car in a spin, lose the time. He's got 9 seconds in hand, and that's it. Then the little Toyota Conquest will be on his tail, and then we're going to see a race. We don't know what the condition of the brakes or the tires or even the fuel in the Toyota is. Very concerned, Janelle de Villiers, and he's virtually crying. He's keeping his hands together around that can of cold drink that he's holding. There's no bubbly yet. No bubbly yet, and you know, it will be such a pity for them, from their point of view, of course, if something does go wrong in this late stage of the race.
Yes, they find drivers.
Look at that. Look, he's off. He's off. He's lost it. He's lost it. Tragedy strikes. He's kept the car going. Kept the car going. We'll see if we can get the shot of the pits. That must be at the bottom of the look at just look at Janelle de Villiers.
That unfortunately was just the end of the brakes. He tried everything he possibly could to get through, and they're going to have to put pads on this car, and this will drop them back to 3rd place, and this could bring up the Crystal Springs Nissan Sabre into 2nd place.
Absolutely.
You can see this is the back pads are also on fire. They're just putting them out, and that's obviously because he's been using the handbrake. I think what happened is he went in on the handbrake and locked up the back wheel because he was definitely trying to save the front brakes. And that's the sort of problems that come about when you get in those sort of situations.
It seemed to me, Basil, in the dark, it's difficult to pick up exactly what happened there, of course, but it seemed to me that he just went straight. He might have locked up the rear wheels. If he did pull the handbrake up, he might have just flicked the tail out a little bit, but he kept it under control. He went straight, which is the right thing to do, because if he spun there would have been other cars coming from behind. He could have even flipped the car at that specific point in the on the course. So he kept his head, he kept his cool, he kept it going straight off, kept the engine going, got it into the right gear, and got back on. But that is the race for them, unless he can pull out something magic.
We might now see that Toyota come in and just take in a few litres of petrol. I think they got the time to do that. If they are worried, if they're really concerned, I think you're going to see they're going to bring that car in and they're going to just put a bit of fuel in it. That's the Castrol car driven by Leon Marie. Leon Marie must be ecstatic.
They have taken 2 laps already.
That's right, 2 laps, and it looks like he's got a light on his rearview mirror, if I'm not mistaken. There it is. That's the green light on the rearview mirror. That's the leading car. That's the Castrol Toyota Conquest RSI, driven at this stage by Leon Marie, and he's doing everything he has to. He must be ecstatic. Leon must be smiling all the way under that crash helmet.
But I bet you're very, very concerned as well. All kinds of things tend to go wrong in this last half an hour of this race. As usual, the Stannic 9 hours had its sting in its tail. We've seen it. There might even be more stings in its tail waiting.
Well, who knows? And, you know, as they stand in the pits, that 3rd place car, the Corner, Steve Corner, Chris Clark, and Terry Lewis car is getting closer. That's the Crystal Springs Nissan, and he's getting closer all the time. They're getting closer, and are they going to take away that 2nd place from Grand Van Schalkwyk? And you see the Van Schalkwyk car, everybody is so disappointed. They're going through the motions. Now they're trying hard. Hockey must be bitter.
Absolutely.
Glen Hall, 30 minutes to go. The unthinkable has happened.
Well, it was 26 to be precise, Basil. I think at the time it happened, we were all bitterly disappointed. We thought that we had it in the bag, but of course you've got to take the flag to know that. Earlier on we had a comfortable 3-lap lead, and then the part of the throttle linkage broke, and Janelle really had to just idle in round the circuit, and that caused us to have a flat-out race then to catch up and pass the Toyota, which we did. I mean, it was a really splendid drive, and Grant went out just in front of the Toyota, but on inspection of the brakes we know we'd worked them very hard in order to do that pace. And we were very
cautious with Grant, say, you know, take it really easy. And to our surprise, the rear brake caliper actually just burst a seal now and caused Grant to leave the road because it sprayed all the brake fluid all over the tyre and things. So we've now just blocked off the pipe and let him go on with three-wheel brakes. But of course, the win is gone, really.
3 minute amptelike rentyd wat oorbly in die 1995 Stannic 9 uur uithouwedren op Killarney in Kaapstad. Daar is die voorlopermotor. Dit is die Klas C Castrol Toyota Conquest van Leon Marie en Charles Wilkin. Brian Hoskins, die hoofbaanbeampte hier wat 'n beheer is van hierdie wedren, wat sy stopperlosie daar dophou. Die amptelike rentyd nou 8 uur 57 minute en 30 secondes. Basil, we had an incredibly interesting race. Let's quickly go through it. We had 4 leaders at different occasions during the race.
That's right, it's really been tough racing. We saw Robbie Smith out in front. We first saw Ben Morgenrud out in front, then Robbie Smith in the BMW, and then we saw Grant van Schalkwyk was leading, and now Charles Wilkins gone into the lead. The car now being driven, that's the car going through, that's been driven by Leon Marie. They've done a tremendous job. It's a Class C Toyota Conquest RSI, and they've done so well. There's 2 minutes to go, but further back, if you look in Class A, Robbie Smith looks like he's going to win it. And overall, as we said, the Class C car, Class B, is going to be the second place car. That is the Nissan Sabre, driven by Grant van Schalkwyk and Janelle de Villiers. Here we see our leader going through. There's only a minute and a bit to go, a minute and a half to go. And then in Class D, Kurt Elchin in the Honda looks like he's going to tie it all up. But the great dice has been in Class E. There's never been more than a half a minute between the 2 leading cars, driven by Louis Goos and who was the man with him? Brian Hodgson and Dave Beecroft and Chris Boucher in the other Class E Opel Cadet Cup.
Well, Basil, as the situation stands now, as far as the Stannic SA Production Car Championship goes, we have Kurt Elchin that is leading Class D. Charles Wilkin not only leading overall, but also Class C. If both of them win their class, that means that Kurt Elchin is going to be the newly crowned champion.
Elchin is already the champion. He cannot lose. He's 3 laps ahead. Here comes the clock of the course. He says 1 minute to go. 1 minute officially to go. That is Brian Hoskins. We're going to see the checkered flag come out, and that's going to signal the end of the race. And Kurt Elchin already is going to be the champion. Let's pick up the car. Here it comes. This is the leading car. It is Charles Wilkin and Leon Marie. Leon Marie at the wheel now of the Castrol Toyota Conquest RSI down into BP corner. I'm sure this is going to be his last lap. I'm sure this is going to be his last lap. We're waiting for the flag to come out. We'll see the fireworks as the 9 hours is signaled. And let's see. Here he comes down past the pits. Leon Marie, and it must be ecstatic. The Toyota team must be ecstatic. I'm just watching the man in the red shirt. He's the clock, of course.
One more lap to go, Basil. 1 more lap to go. The official race time now, 50 seconds. 8 hours, 59 minutes, and 53 seconds they've passed. The flag will be out, but of course that car is the car that will be the actual winner. The flag will come out at 9 hours, which is now. The flag is out. That is the end of the 1995 Stannic 9-hour endurance race. The first time that Stannic is involved. I hope the first of many. Fireworks going up, and I'm sure fireworks in the Toyota pits, because their car is the leading car, and that car is going to win.
Well, party all round. Toyota are going to be celebrating the overall win, the Index of Performance win, and Charles Wilkins second in the Production Car Championships in the Honda pit, the AMG Honda pit. They're going to be celebrating a brand new South African Production Car Champion in Kurt Elchin. Great driving. Kurt Elchin really has worked hard for many years and spent a lot of money to get there, and he's done a super job. In Class E, Louis Goos. Class A, it's going to be the BMW, and Class B, the Nissan team.
What is amazing about the AMG Honda team, of course, Basil, is that this is their first year in Stannic Group N racing. In fact, in circuit racing in this country. Not only did they get the Class D championship, but they also got the overall production car championship in the name of Kurt Elchin. There's our winning car. That is Leon Marie behind the car, behind the wheel of the car, going through Stannic corner for the last time. He's going to see the checkered flag when he comes past here, and then you'll see celebrations in the pits. Unfortunately for Charles Wilkin, he couldn't do anything about taking the championship, but he took the overall win along with Leon Marie. There we go. Just going to take the flag now, and
here we see him going down through Continental Corner, and you can hear already there's so much excitement out there. Really, it's hard work. It's been a hard week, not just today, It's been very, very hot today. The cars have battled. They've done a great job, and really to see this car come through, not only win the index of performance, but to win overall, what a great achievement for Toyota.
Well, the spotlight on the winning team, Charles Wilkin, Leon Marie, we have Stan Weston here from Stannic and the whole Toyota team at the back. Charles, must be an incredible feeling to finally win it. Last year second, this time you did it.
Yeah, Leon and myself tried hard before, and George as well, and eventually we've done it. And it was a great team effort. Leon, myself, George, the guys, good pit stops. Good car, everything was just perfect.
Must have been a nail-biting last 15 minutes.
It was very nail-biting.
And Leon, you did the last stint, of course. How did you feel when you knew that the Class B car was out?
A bit relieved, but my team manager here, old George, he doesn't give up. He just told me to go faster and faster and faster because of the index of performance, and I just drove it flat out right to the end. It never missed a beat. Just went beautifully.
What about all the sounds and things that you hear, things go wrong in the car?
I opened the window so I couldn't hear any noise. just the sound of the wind. But it was the last half an hour was really hard, really tough.
Charles, you're winning Class C as well in this race, of course. Crown's a great year for you.
Yeah, it's disappointing not winning the Drivers' Championship, but you can't win everything, you know. And I want to congratulate Kurt, and he deserves it. But I think this is a fitting finale to the season, and I'm very happy.
Winning Class B and leading for a big part of the race, Janelle, must have been heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, it was, the whole race went well. We were leading for quite a while, and then our accelerator cable broke. That put us back a bit. But in the end, it was just the brakes, the left rear caliper that went. But I mean, that's racing, and Grant just did very well to keep it on the track. He nearly went to hit the wall there, but I'm just glad we're here at the end. It's unfortunate, but we're still happy to be here.
Grant, that must have been a hairy moment. We saw you going off there.
Geez, Henrik, when I hit the brakes, you know, the rear brakes failed, and the car shot straight off the track, and I thought, well, let me rather back it up with the rear end, and I yanked up the handbrake at the last minute and managed to stop it against the tyre wall, but it was pretty scary out there.
It must have been heartbreaking when you knew that you'd lost the lead.
Yeah, I don't think it's really sunk in yet, Hendrik. You know, it's to win this race is something special, and we were nearly there, you know, but that's the way motor racing goes, and take it as it comes.
We're back next year?
Obviously.
Back next year, Janelle?
Definitely, and I just want to thank all the guys in Nissan, the guys in the pits. They did a great job. The pit stops were excellent, everything was good, and congratulations to Toyota for winning it.
Best performing privateer team, Chris Clark, Steve Corner in the Crystal Springs car. Third overall, congratulations, guys.
Cheers, man. It was tough, but it was good fun. Good fun. The 9 hours is always good, you know what I mean? We really enjoy it. Now we're going to party.
Steve, at some point you must have thought that you were in with a chance of winning.
Basically, we came here to win the race. We're not very unhappy that we finished third. But yeah, we came here with a serious effort. We came here to win. Third place is great, though. And frankly, all thanks to all the pit crew, all the guys in the team, all the logistics, Fani, Peter, Vernon, everybody, Rod. Guys, thanks a lot. This is for you.
Okay. And Terry Lewis, our visitor from Australia. Terry, you didn't have much of a chance to drive, but then how did it go for you today?
I got one stint in the car, which was good. I also got a stint in the Nick DeVal car, even though that it did break a gearbox on the first lap. I want to thank the guys for inviting me into the team as late as they did. Yeah, much appreciated. Thanks, guys.
Back again next year?
If I'm invited back, I'll always come back.
Absolutely.
Like to have you back. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Well, Kurt Alscher, not only a Class D winner, but also, of course, the newly crowned SA production car champion. How does it feel?
Yeah, you can't believe it. It's unbelievable. Never expected it to happen. My car packed up today after 3 hours, just electrical fault. I climbed into the other car and it ran like clockwork. I thought something would happen with my luck, and it's unbelievable when we went over the line.
Of course, the pressure was on you. You did need to win the class to, in fact, clinch it.
I had to win the class, and Charles was winning his class. The last hour was really, at that hour took me, you couldn't believe how long that hour was.
You've had an incredible season, Kurt. Not only winning your 22 out of 24, but now clinching the title at last.
Yeah, and the way AMG prepared that Honda, I tell you, you can't get better.
Next year you're in Class C with the new livery Total car.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about that. New sponsor in the Group N, and I think we're going to give the Toyotas a hard time next year.
Well, we're looking forward to a great season next year, and that is the end of our coverage of the 1995 Stannic 9-hour race. A great event, great excitement right up to the end. We hope you enjoyed the coverage that we brought you right here on NNTV Sport. Till next time, goodbye.
Stannic salutes the winners of the Stannic 9-hour at Killarney, and in particular the new Stannic SA production car champion, Kurt Alchin, in the Total AMG Honda. Stannic, with us you can go so much further.
It's Saturday, and it's time for the AA Racing Report to take you trackside around the world, exclusively on NNTV Sport.